Up next, we've got a Swedish bridal march, the Trolls Bridal March. I'm always waiting for us to perform it on a day where it's raining, because legend has it that if you play it long enough, the rain will stop. But we haven't been able to test it out yet. We played it on a very, very, very hot day, and I was like, well, maybe if we play it backwards, the rain will come. So the Trolls Bridal March. Alright, up next we're going over to L.I.N.E area for a waltz after Ghost Hunters. take a moment to talk a little more because some of us have an instrument change to do here. So we are the Lower Iowa Nordic Ensemble. So we do music across Sweden and Norway and Finland and probably the other Nordic countries eventually. So several of us met again a little over a year ago at a Hardanger fiddle workshop. So you can see that some of us are now playing instruments that are highly ornamented, highly decorated. I know it's a little bit weird to do this at a Swedish event, but this is the national folk instrument of Norway. But we decided it's a very cool instrument and we shouldn't deprive you of the sound for a couple of tunes. So this is the Hardanger fiddle, originated in Western Norway. Exactly when we're not sure. The oldest instrument in Norway seems to date to around 1512. There's an instrument actually in the United States that's apparently slightly older, much to the chagrin of the Norwegians. Because they want the oldest one, and apparently someone smuggled the oldest one out years ago. Anyway, great debate. Who has the oldest Hardanger fiddle? Okay. So it is a more Baroque style instrument. It has also has a lot more pegs on it. So you see, with mine now holding it up, we've got 4 pegs, 1 for each string. And on the Hardangers, we have either 8 or 9 pegs, because there are additional strings that run underneath the fingerboard.
Whoops.
There we go.
I can't see what I'm doing.
It's also a pain in the neck, too.
Sorry about that.
But it's a very unique and ringing instrument with kind of this golden sound to it. So we're going to do 2 tunes for you with that one. The first one, I'm going to quick run and grab mine, is the Kjerringa på Tind, which means the old woman from Tind.
And the lower strings are sympathetic. You don't play them. So they resonate. My instrument was made by Ron Post in Blue Mounds, Wisconsin, he was a Smithsonian National Treasure who made lots of hardangers, fiddles, and guitars. And Tyler's is made by Karen Redholz in Madison, Wisconsin. Tyler's is made by Karen Redholz in Madison, Wisconsin, and features a scroll with his grandmother on it. And most of our hardangers have the L.I.N.E, which is in the Nordic crest or whatever. Yeah.
I have an instrument that nobody else has, it's cello. I try and pick up the lower range of sound here because everybody's playing the same thing up top for the most part. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Tyler may have already mentioned this, but they say that the most frequently played Hardanger fiddle tunes tune.
So I should probably mention that most of the music we're playing today is dance music, so if there's anyone who's feeling brave enough to get up and dance, we are more than welcome to that. We played for Midsummer down in Streetsburg, and there was an adorable 3-year-old who was dancing along. Yes! You'll inspire everyone else! Which is very smart. But maybe someone will be as brave as a 3-year-old. So our next tune is it's a tripar, which is one of the various words in Norwegian for polka. The dance came to Norway about 100 years before the word polka did. So there's about 7 or 8 different ways of saying polka, depending on where you are in the country. Lots of mountains, no one got around very much, but somehow the music got there, but was those Norwegians also don't speak to each other, so that's okay. Anyway, so this is from southern Norway. So this is the tripar from Oslo. It's kind of got a groovy rock and roll beat to it. So hope you enjoy it.
This was considered the devil's instrument, actually. But we like it.
A lot of the churches in Norway didn't allow a lot of that, like folk instruments and whatnot, so that was the reason why it was called such.
There was a big movement in religious conservatism all over Europe in the beginning of the 19th century. So before that, many times the same group that would play at the pub on Saturday night would also play for the church service on Sunday morning. And a lot of hymns were suddenly being sung to tunes that had rather raunchier lyrics the night before. So this was a common thing all over Europe, Northern Europe, and England, and Sweden, Norway. Anyway, in attempts to get congregations to be more mindful of why they were there on Sunday morning, there was a big push towards making things a lot cleaner and a lot less drowny and a lot less drunken. And so a lot of folk instruments suddenly became banned. In Norway, the hardanger fiddle wasn't actually allowed inside consecrated grounds. So you had the funny thing where it would accompany the wedding party to the church, but the fiddle and the fiddler had to stay outside the churchyard. And then everyone would process and actually get married, and then the fiddler would play for them as they went to the reception. But the fiddle wasn't actually allowed indoors. In the 20th and 21st century, it's now been relaxed, and you can now play one of those instruments inside. But there was a great, probably 50, 60 years where a lot of church leaders were actually burning the instruments to get the drunkenness and the rowdiness to be taken care of. But this is also when a lot of churches actually put in church organs and started having print hymnals, and everyone sings the same tune, which were not the tunes being sung on Saturday night. History lesson. You didn't know you were here for a history lesson, did you? Okay, we are back on normal fiddle. right. All right, so up next is another polka, this one from Hendrickson, it's the Charis-Carlson. Thought we'd take a quick moment to introduce ourselves individually. So over here at the end we have Anne, who's our resident Swedish advocate. Swedish advocate. Yeah, you always have another Swedish tune. Yeah. We have Sasha Wemme here on cello. We have Cortland here on fiddle. We have Ariane here on fiddle. We have Dylan, who is here on viola. He's also one of my students, along with Cortland. We have Heidi Madsen, who is here on fiddle. We have Julie. We think the guy with names, but she met us. A number of us were at the same fantastic summer event in Wisconsin. She goes, "Oh, there's people in Iowa City. Yes, come join us." I guess I have to meet people in Wisconsin to. And then we have Astrid here on fiddle, who's also our normal host for letting us come and jam on Sunday afternoons, which is great. My name is Tyler Hendrickson, and I'm apparently the leader of this group. So, and yes. So up next. Good Wisconsin. Okay, so up next, we're going to sneak back over to Norway for a quick little tune. This is Good Man's Dance from the Rogaland area. All right, over back to Sweden, back to the Dalarna area. This is the troll polska. So another troll tune, just in case you need some more trolls in there. It's also almost Halloween, so good time for some mythical creatures. We don't have any napkin tunes for you today, sadly. The animal that drowns you in the river. You also have Frozen 2, right? The horse that she's trying to ride and keeps trying to drown. Yeah, that's very beautiful that tries to drown you. So that's good. We don't have any of that today. So. Just trolls. All right, troll polska from Dalarna. We're staying in Dalarna. This time we're going to Fjord. We have a bridal march, the Gånglat from Fjord. Hope you enjoy. I mentioned a little Finnish earlier. We're going to do our token Finnish tune. We're working on a few more. Arjen grew up in a Finnish folk ensemble, which is very cool. Well, you know, we're all playing Nordic folk music on Sunday afternoons. You're in good company. So this is the Laverten Polska from Finland. Did anyone count how many notes there were in that one? Yeah. I don't know how much they dance over there, but they certainly put a lot of notes in their tunes.
I think there's less steps than notes.
That would be nice. The next one is the Gallop from Lomme.
The cello player was very funny.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to say, at Midsummer, they needed a tune that went faster and faster and faster and faster as people danced faster and faster and faster. So we used that one with great fun, but suddenly there was no one dancing faster and faster. We have to work on that for next year, right? All right. Our last tune today is Jorda Beloten, which I've come to understand is the most famous folk song all in Sweden. So hopefully you enjoy it.
thank the group, huh? Pretty good? Yeah. Pretty good. Stand up. Wonderful, wonderful. We have time afterwards for more socializing, ice cream and goodies, and I've invited the group to join us, so if you want to talk to them individually, you can do that, and let's give them another round of applause.